This is Madam, and I'm coming back to you again. And this article was by Bossip and the Bossip staff. The writer for this article is Zack, and it says Arkansas jail inmate says doctors gave them unproven Ivermectin drug as a COVID-19 treatment without their consent. Okay, so let's get into this article. In the age of anti-vaxxers soiling the interweb with their pseudo intellectual straight from the prestigious University of Look at My YouTube derives regarding government agendas, microchips, and Aristotle comparisons to the Tuskegee experiment. The last thing we need is for reports to come out about jail inmates complaining they were administered an experimental, uh, unproven COVID-19 treatment without the knowing consent, and yet here we are. An Arkansas doctor is under investigation for prescribing an anti-parasitic drug called ivermectin, which is typically used on animals. Wow. The inmates at the state Washington County Jail, several of whom told CBS News they were given the drug without their knowledge. If you've never heard of ivermectin, it's a we never knew that they were running experiments on us, giving us ivermectin. We never knew that. It was not consensual, he continued. They used us as experiments. They used us as an experiment, like we were livestock. Just because we wear stripes and we make a few mistakes in life does not make us less of a human being. We got families, we got loved ones out there that love us. Yes. Pharrell Wooden, I apologize if I mispronounced his name, said he and other inmates weren't aware of what they were taking until 5 days after they were given the pills. And the only reason they found out then was because of news reports on Karas. In another short statement, it says, and from the point forward, they finally gave us the consent if we would like to take the pills or not, he said, adding that about 20 other inmates refused to take the drug after that. Two other inmates at the jail shared similar stories with the Associated Press. According to the insider, Karas defended his use of ivermectin, citing in, in vitro and controlled studies, as well as a significant amount of anecdotal evidence that he claims indicates the drug is effective in treating COVID 19. In the late 2020, we began what I consider compassionate use of ivermectin as a part of a comprehensive plan of care for both clinic and jail patients who had become significantly sick from COVID, Karras said. In my medical judgment, weighed the known risk and side effects profiled of ivermectin against the potential benefits supported the administration of ivermectin, which we obtained from licensed pharmacists in doses and compounds formulated for humans to COVID 19 patients. For the record, not only has the drug not been approved by the Food and Drug Administration as a COVID treatment, but the FDA has explicitly, y'all, warned against its use as a treatment. It also it is also worth nothing that nowhere in Kara's statement did he address accusations that he was administering the drug to inmates without their consent. So yeah, not all medical judgment is good medical judgment. And people who are already worried about the vaccine and the possibility of being experimented on certainly won't be convinced otherwise as long as there actually are medical professionals out there uh, vindicating their fears, which is very true. Um, wow, man, this is crazy. So, these people, in some form or fashion, have made some mistakes, just as Mr. Wooden said. They've made some mistakes that does not make them any less of humans, that does not make them any less of men or women, that does not uh, designate that they should be anything treated less than anything than any of us walking around outside, okay? And like this is crazy. Like, yes, it brings up like the Tuskegee Airmen, Winter Lags, countless of other people who have abused their medical privilege to experiment on the less fortunate um, back then in Tuskegee, low income uh, people, some of the poorest people in the world, some of the most vulnerable people in the world. If you don't think that a person in jail is not vulnerable, then obviously you never really been to jail or had family members that been in jail or cared enough to actually be interested in what a person in that position goes through on a daily basis. Nevertheless, it's really sad. I hope that Karras loses his license, and I hope he goes to jail. Um, you cannot do anything to a person without their consent, as far as medically. Um, that's why they have these laws in place to protect the most vulnerable of us. And this just goes to show that, if you in jail, you pretty much left to your own whims, and it's sad. It's nobody there to really advocate for those inmates, regardless of what they did to be put in that situation, um, regardless of what actions that they took. Their only thing for them to go there to is to be reformed. And for me to even say for them to be reformed is like a slap in the face and a laugh out loud and in private, because there's nothing about the justice system when you get put in the system is going to help you to reform. If there are programs in place, it's not widely known. Um, it doesn't, some places it doesn't, it's not like an option, Um, some people in a position to have been in jail or prison knows that that comes with a lot of backlash. There are some success stories about people that have came out here and have gotten degrees in jail and led productive lives. However, that does not give people in the medical community the power to essentially play God with these people's lives. Whether it's men or women, he should be brought upon charges. He should be brought upon charges federally. I feel as though the FDA should look into this personally and deal with him accordingly. He should go to jail. Him and any other person that is spouting this non vaccinated stuff. That's why we have systems and things in place so that if the FDA don't say that it's approved, now granted, I have my hangups about that, but that's another story. I digress. But for the most part, the FDA is the number one source for what is good, what is approved, and what is not approved. And I just ask everybody, whether you be vaccinated or non vaccinated, to just use your discernment, use your judgment, use your knowledge of it. Don't just go into it blindly, regardless of how many people or family members, co workers have gotten a shot or have not gotten a shot. Please use your own mind. Please, please do not follow what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is different. You have to also keep that in mind, and you have to also keep in mind that because everybody's genetic makeup is different, it will affect people differently. Okay? So, with that being said, as always, I want you guys to drop down in the comments and comment on this story and any other story that you have seen. And definitely, I want you guys to like, subscribe, and share. If you have any interesting stories, you can always hit up my email address. You can follow me on Instagram. And yeah, it is what it is, guys. So until then, I will talk to you in the next video.